Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the Eisenhower matrix, or also called the Eisenhower box. And this is named after Dwight Eisenhower, who was a president. Before that, he was actually I think a 5-star general or 4-star, whatever star that was. Either way, it was a lot of stars, and he was a general. So he's somebody that obviously accomplished a lot, and somebody that obviously had a lot of things coming at him at one time. So he developed this super simple method to help decide what should be done now, what could be put off, and maybe what could be, thrown away altogether or delegated to somebody else. And even if you're not a president, we all have a lot of things flying at us, especially these days. We're having to juggle work and maybe school and, who knows what else. There's always a lot of things flying at us at any one time that we have to decide, like, oh man, should I do this right now? Should I do this later? And so using his format of, again, a really simple method of deciding what should be done now and what can be put off, it's really simple. All you have to do is just put it in this little box. So as you can see, you just label it. You got this little 4 squares. You label it as urgent, not urgent, and important and not important. So super simple. You just break it down basically in those 4 categories. And then if something comes at you, you categorize it. So say you get an email at 12 o'clock and your colleague says, hey, I got this deadline at 1:15. If we miss this deadline, we're going to lose the contract for this, giant job that's going to pay us a lot of money. That would obviously be important and urgent. So you'd want to do it now, just like Nike says. But say if, somebody tweets at you and they're like, hey, I would really appreciate it if you could message me that link that you posted yesterday. That's really interesting. Can I read it? Well, that would be something that's really not important and it's not urgent. So you might just totally ignore it altogether. Or maybe you can decide to schedule it later if you want. But it's definitely not something that you should bother yourself with doing it now because it's not urgent and it's really not important either. So the 4 boxes, as you can see, is doing it now. That's something that is very important and very urgent. You're on a timeline. Something that you can do that's important but not very urgent, you can decide or schedule it some other time. Like, okay, well, I don't need to do it right now, so I can just put that off till Friday. But it does need to be done. Then on the bottom, you have stuff that's not important. So this is actually what I think we mostly find ourselves doing throughout the day. We're doing stuff that really isn't that important, but it kind of pops up in our awareness and we get distracted by it. So we, maybe forget something that we're doing that's important and urgent, and we start doing something that's really not important, but maybe it feels like you can accomplish something, so you just do it. But really, according to Eisenhower, it's probably something that you could either delegate. So if you have a colleague or a coworker or an assistant or somebody else, maybe even a child, you could be like, hey, can you do this for me? Because it's kind of urgent, but it's not that important. So you could probably hand it off to somebody that doesn't have to you don't have to spend your time doing it, but you still want to get it done. And then a lot of times, we're probably wasting our time. Is that my hair? We're probably wasting our time doing things that aren't urgent or important. And really, we should just be deleting these things altogether. Like that tweet that somebody said, hey, can you send that link to me? Just ignore it. It's not going to hurt their feelings. They're going to move on and forget about it anyway. Don't spend so much time doing things that fall into this 4th box, because you're obviously not going to get anything major done if you do that. And it's most likely going to be putting you off on things that are more important. So again, super simple concept, but if somebody that is as busy and important as Dwight D. Eisenhower uses this simple method to decide what should be done and what should be put off and what should be deleted altogether, give it a shot. If you find out that you're stressing throughout the day and you're not really accomplishing much and you need some kind of organization, which I think we all do, try using this method. And eventually it'll just kind of become second nature. You'll be able to just do it in your brain, but in the beginning, it's always good to write it out. Write your tasks down in each of those 4 boxes. That way you can visually see, like, okay, this is what I should do right now. This is what I can have somebody else do, or this is what I can just throw in the trash altogether and free up your mental space for something more important. Okay, the Eisenhower matrix. Try that out for a week and see if it can help organize your life, and maybe you'll become the next president. All right, I'll see you in the next video.